Hey everybody, it's been a while since I've done a video, so I thought I would do one that's gonna throw a lot of stuff at you. I'm gonna share with you the evolution of my collection, and I've pivoted several times in this hobby. I've started when I was 7 years old, and I started by cutting off the hostess cards off the hostess boxes. And I don't know why I did that as a kid. It appealed to me, and I loved baseball. So I just started doing that. And then also in the 70s, you had the Kellogg's cards too. So whenever my mom would pick up Rice Krispies or Corn Flakes, sometimes they'd have baseball cards in them. I'm just going to share with you just some of the ones that I pulled. Love the Thurman. That's another hostess. And then we get into the Kellogg's cards, which I think are just really neat. I have a whole bunch. I have a binder filled with a bunch of them. So I thought I'd share with you just a few of those over the years. Picked out a few of some great players. Ryan, Reggie Jackson, Pete Rose. Just fun. And then the first year I remember getting Topps cards was in 77. I think that's 77. 78, 77. And I just remember getting a shoebox and putting all these in a shoebox and picking up packs over the years. And it continued well into the 80s. Some other ones from the 80s thought I would share. I just picked out some random ones of, players that were really big during that time. So, yeah, the Mark McGwire rookie card. I was excited when I pulled that out of a pack. The Canseco. And, of course, Barry Bonds. And that card collecting continued through the early 90s. And I was trying to pick up as many Dan Marino cards as I could. I had a whole bunch of them. There's just a few. I didn't pull his rookie card. I just thought I'd share a few other ones. So Marino was my favorite, and I loved Larry Bird. He was my favorite basketball player. Some Larry Bird cards. And of course in hockey, I'm a Flyers fan. Eric Lindros was my guy. I loved Eric Lindros. So it was hard to keep up in the 90s. They just had so many different companies, and I don't want to say I fell out of love with it, but I pivoted. And what I did is I started getting into autographs. There goes Jose. Started getting into autographs. A lot of times in the mall, they'd have card shows, and they'd always bring in someone to sign for free, and I'd always bring a baseball with me. This is Maury Wills. I remember getting him when he was there. And they'd have other people that they'd bring in over the years. One they brought in was Bernie Parent. Had him sign a mini helmet. I would get the Tough Stuff magazine, and when Tough Stuff had their shows in Virginia, I remember these guys were all there, and I had them all sign a mini helmet. I'm a Dolphins fan, so thought that was pretty neat. Also in the 90s, I would send stuff in the mail. So I had this Yankee bat. These are the Cooperstown bats. And I had every team. And I try and get different players on the bats. So with the Yogi Berra, I ended up mailing this bat to his museum because he would sign through there. And got it back. And the next year, I went to Cooperstown and added Whitey Ford. So there's the bat. And what's neat about that is here's the invoice that I kept from the Yogi Berra Museum. And over here, he wrote Best Wishes, Yogi Berra, which I think is kind of cool. Cost me $125. So just really into autographs. In '85, I'm originally from Utica. I went over to watch the Utica Blue Sox practice. And I just picked any random ball that I had. And after practice, I had a lot of the players sign. This autograph here is Larry Walker, who is a Hall of Famer, which I think is pretty neat. So kept that all these years. What I like to do now is also collect magazines. I had a big Sports Illustrated subscription over the years. I'm sure a lot of you did too. And I really like getting autographs on the magazines. I think it's just an added, just makes it look kind of neat. But here's Ryne Sandberg I got in Cooperstown. I met Doug Flutie at a show. I remember watching this game when he threw the bomb against Miami. Loved watching the NBA back in the day. Dr. J. And this one I ended up sending in the mail to get A.J. Foyt on this vintage magazine, which I think is, I like the vintage magazines. So there's that. So as you can see, I've pivoted a few times in this hobby from cards to autographs. Well, then in around 1999, 2000, the autographs weren't that great anymore. I feel like a lot of the players just aren't taking time with the autographs and their scribbles. And I just didn't want to spend the money on scribbles. So I pivoted again. And around that time, my mom told me that my dad had colon cancer. And his favorite player was Mickey Mantle. So I started picking up a whole bunch of Mickey Mantle cards back in the day. And as you can see, this is an old label. But I'm just going to show you a few of them that I have. Running out of room here. But just love these Mickey Mantle cards. Just beautiful. And I'm actually very glad that I did this because I couldn't afford them now. There's another one. And it wasn't just Mantle I was going after. I was going after a lot of other vintage players. Just showing you just other ones that I was going after. Some rookie cards. Here's Reggie's. Pete Rose. I'm a Reds fan, so I was going after a lot of the Reds players. And I was doing all sports. Here's Walter Payton. Love Walter Payton. Got Johnny Unitas. And of course, the great one. But as you know, the hobby is, it's what you make of it. And I still go after the vintage stuff. But there's another thing that I also like to collect, and that is, like I said, vintage magazines. I mean, if there's people out there that can't afford Clemente Rookie, this is his first time on the cover of Sports Illustrated. So you can go after magazines. They display really nice in rooms, and you can pair them with, you know, other memorabilia like baseballs or bats or cards. But this is a beauty here. There's Bobby Orr's first cover. But you can collect what you want. Collect your favorite players, which I have a whole bunch of. And I know Jackie Robinson is a big topic. So here is Jackie's first cover on Sport Magazine that I had graded. And the other magazine I have of his is a Life magazine, which is obviously oversized. Just a beautiful cover. So there it is, guys. The evolution of my collecting hobby, which I started when I was 7. I am now 57, so I've been doing this for 50 years, which is really scary to say, 50 years. But you know what? I've enjoyed every minute of it. And I've made a lot of really nice people. So don't let the hobby take you down. Just pivot.